Okay, welcome back to another episode of What the Pell. Today we're here with Julie Polle.
Hello.
Hi, Julie.
Hi.
Julie just finished a workout. How's your workout today?
Pretty good. My hands hurt.
Your hands hurt. We trained legs, so that's interesting.
The bar is rough.
The bar is rough.
Yeah.
Well, the world's rough, Julie.
Yep.
Get used to it. Who are you, Julie?
I'm Julie.
What do you do?
I'm a finance bro. Just
You're
kidding.
a what?
A finance bro.
What's a finance bro? I actually kind of want to know this now.
You've never heard about finance bros?
No, what is this?
No? I'm not a finance bro. Finance bros, I think, do like stocks and stuff. I don't do that. I just work in finance. I give out loans.
Oh, do you
And
think you'll ever
mortgages.
become a finance bro?
No.
What's the female version?
I don't know if they have a female version. I think they're just called corporate girlies.
Actually?
I'm a corporate girly.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Ooh.
Yeah.
I'd call them finance broads.
That's funny.
Is calling
Finance brides.
is calling a girl a broad, is that a bad thing now?
No, that's just...
It's like offensive?
Well, actually, maybe.
Or would it be kind of like, are you from like 1955?
Yeah,
or,
but also it's a little bit offensive because usually when you call someone a broad, you call them a dumb broad. Right?
Or a finance broad.
Finance broad.
So get into those stocks.
Yeah.
So you work at the bank?
I work at the credit union. It's the difference.
What actually, yeah, let's get into that. What is the difference between a credit union and a bank? I actually don't know. Other than I'm a part owner of a credit union, I think,
That's
right?
it. That's the difference.
Why isn't it a cooperative then?
It is. Credit union is a cooperative.
Oh, why don't they just call it a access cooperative union or something?
Because credit unions, a credit union is a cooperative. There's different types of cooperatives.
They just call it a different name.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, I guess, yeah, we have local grocery store called the Co-op, so they would be in direct competition if they were to...
But it's the Co-op grocery store. There's also Co-op gas bars, right?
Are they... They're the same business, though, aren't they?
Yes,
Yeah.
but not everywhere.
Oh, really?
Like Winkler Co-op, which
Yeah.
actually owns Morden's Co-op.
Okay.
It's technically called Winkler Co-op as well. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's all the same. But anyways, that's one type of, like, that's one cooperative. But you can have multiple cooperatives in one place, just like Rosenor Credit Union is also a cooperative.
Oh, really?
But they don't have the same name. They're just
What's-
also cooperatives.
What's the benefit of, like, so RBC would be a bank?
Yeah.
Or CIBC would be a bank.
Mhm.
What's the benefit of a credit union versus a bank? Or a
Well,
cooperative versus
usually
a
the end goal of the credit union or cooperative is to help its members and do what's best for them, right? So giving
Okay.
back to the community, we give a bunch of money back, better interest rates, usually they try to have better account packages, lower fees, things like that.
And what's
Yeah.
the downside?
Because we don't have all the big bucks like the banks, we can't invest in certain things like technology as much as a bank can, which is why usually banks' apps are better than ours.
That is notorious for
Yeah.
the local access credit union. Is some...
Name dropping, hey?
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah,
or
I
do I
guess
have to
that's
cut
fine.
that out?
No, I think it's okay.
I mean, when you're in here, you're always talking the place up. You tell me how great it is.
Oh, yeah.
So this is just my opinion, just to clarify. I didn't know that actually. Like I knew that it was like member owned or operated or whatever, but I didn't actually know that there was a lot to it. So if let's say the economy collapses like it did in the States, does the credit union get any bailout stuff? Like if let's say they're like, we're going to bail out the banks.
Yeah.
Would the credit union fall under that?
Yeah, I guess it depends. We have it's called deposit guarantee. So the banks have their own deposit guarantees, but they're limited. So I think it's like the max is like $100,000 or something like that per person, whereas ours is unlimited. So if you have $1 million in the bank or at the credit union and something happens, your $1 million is insured. And if something happens to us, you're still guaranteed that money.
So you're always, no one's ever kind of like going to be out.
Yeah.
I have heard that if the Hutterites take out all their money, the bank would collapse.
That's a different credit union.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. There is credit unions that have like a specific audience or demographic. And yes, if that demographic pulls out all their money, then they would be screwed.
Do you think if I pulled out all my money in the bank would
I'd be in trouble.
That's kind of concern. That's why you're on a podcast.
What would I do in the mornings?
I threatened you with it. I was like, I'm gonna make these banks collapse.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of money.
I'm gonna take out my $5.
Yeah, my overdraft that you have to fix for me every time.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you like working at the bank?
I do.
Was it your dream job growing up as a kid?
No, I don't know. My dream job as a kid was nursing for some reason. And now that I work where I work and I see nurses, I'm like, man, I'm so glad I'm not a nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it's so stressful and they work shift work and I mean, whatever, the job is probably super rewarding, but with all the crap that they've had to deal with lately, I don't envy them.
So why didn't you get into nursing then instead of banking?
Because the education system failed me. Universities here suck.
You slipped through the cracks?
I didn't know what I needed to do in order to get into the program that I wanted to get into. And so, I mean, it was my fault for not asking.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time that I decided I wanted to go into nursing, I had wasted time and money on courses that would not have helped me with nursing.
That was a really confusing thing. Like, I remember in high school, you were supposed to go to these different things and they were going to tell you stuff. I remember not understanding any of it. Then being like, yeah, and then you could probably do this too and take this and do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what to do.
Just tell me what I need to take and I'll take it.
But you went to university?
I did for 2 years.
And what degree did you get a degree?
Mm-mm. I just did courses.
You did these courses, didn't get you really closer to what you wanted?
I'm still technically in university. I'm still enrolled.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you going to finish it?
A little bit at a time, yeah. I'm taking a class here and there.
You seem like you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of thing.
Well, I like taking courses, so I'll take courses as long as I can. If it gets me a degree in the end, great. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be upset about it.
Does the credit union help to fund those?
Yeah.
Good.
As long as it benefits them.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm glad I could send you to school.
Pay for my education. Yeah. That's my favorite thing. Oh, when people mention that, like we're doing.
Is that a comment
yeah, absolutely. We're doing renovations in our branch right now, and members come in and they're like, "Oh, all these renovations, hey, looking pretty pricey," and I'm like, "Yep."
That's funny. What would it actually like impact the member though? Like in terms of
the
only
regular
show up
member
if it collapsed? Like that's the only time you'd ever see that, hey? Like if they overspent kind of thing?
Yeah, and that doesn't happen. There's lots of rules in place to make sure that that doesn't happen.
So how do they make money then?
The credit union?
Yeah, to do a renovation.
Investments. We invest in other things.
Yeah, so you basically take our money and invest our savings, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Flipping fraud. No.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how you do a renovation stuff. Keep the business part going.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be a nurse. What made you want to be a nurse when you were young? Like, how old would you have been when you wanted to do that?
Like 4.
Oh, yeah. So you were kind of...
My grandma was a nurse.
Figuring out who you were.
Yeah, as a 4-year-old, I had my life all planned out.
Your grandma was a nurse?
My grandma was a nurse. And so then when I used to visit her, then we would go... My grandpa would take us to the hospital to pick her up. And then we would walk around there and she'd show us stuff and it was pretty sweet.
What do you remember? Like, do you remember something distinctly about it?
Walking through the halls and they would always give us... they're like syringes, but without the needle. What are they called?
I think it's just a syringe.
A syringe? Okay, yeah, like plastic ones.
Yeah.
And they'd always give us some and we'd take them home and then we just spray water.
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah. That's a good time.
Yeah.
They should have given you guys the needles too.
Just right.
Pump water into each other. So at 4, I remember that's very different than my childhood. I didn't have a dream to do this, but I remember going to work with my mom a lot. But she worked at the liquor store, so
that was your dream.
It wasn't
Selling
quite my dream.
Bottles.
But I do remember being in the back of the liquor store, rolling around on like the different things that you use to move cases of alcohol. There was like this track. It was like a slide, but it was these rollers. So it would go to a garage door, like it would just stayed there all the time, and it'd be like, I guess, chest height, so you could just unload on top of it, and then it would swirl kind of around the back storage area, and we would hop up top of the thing and then just rip down the
that sounds
rollers.
Like a nightmare waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think back to that, and kids have like pretty little fingers.
That's not safe.
Yeah, it's crazy we never got our fingers stuck in there.
That's crazy. I know a girl that I don't know if it was the same. It was a track like that, but it might have been like a belt type.
Yeah, okay.
And she got her arm stuck in it, and she got like she had to get, I think, some fingers amputated or something. It was crazy because her whole arm, they were potentially going to have to remove her whole arm.
That's
'cause it was
brutal. That must
mangled.
be a helpless feeling too. Like when you get
Hmm.
caught in something like that and just keeps going.
Well, she was just hanging there, and it was a very, very bad
Did you
situation.
see it?
No,
Oh.
I just knew her afterward. After, like, I knew her when that happened, and then afterwards, she got into another work accident somewhere else. She was like partially paralyzed for a while after that. So the poor girl just couldn't catch a break. Was just always getting hurt at work. It's like people probably just don't want to hire her anymore.
Yeah, I
She's
wouldn't.
gonna just
I'd
get hurt.
just out of like respect for her.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm worried about like liability. Of
Yeah.
course, that would be a thing, but it would be like, I want you to be okay.
Mhm.
Just stay home and don't have any power tools around.
Yeah, I don't know if she works now.
She's never allowed to use a KitchenAid.
Yeah.
Those things are actually, if you think about it,
I
you
don't
could
have
probably
one.
lose your hand in one of those.
Yeah.
I don't know
The
if you actually
whiskey
could, to
thing?
be honest with you. There's maybe safety features, but they weigh like 500 pounds.
I'm just thinking of, you know how when you drive, or they have videos where they test windows, car windows,
Oh,
and they
yeah?
like open them and they'll like stick something in, like they usually start with like a hot dog or
Okay.
something like that,
Does it cut the
and
hot
then
dog?
see if it cuts it or if it stops. And so they tried it on whatever vehicle, and then in the end they used a carrot, and it chopped the carrot in half, and they're like, that is not safe.
Wow. I actually have never even thought about
Yeah.
that. Although I did, speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up because then I get to share this. I did break two of those things that do fail when you roll up the window and it stops it and something in there breaks. I broke two of them this winter.
For windows?
Yeah.
Which one? Which vehicle?
The one I drive now.
So it's not a safe vehicle anymore?
Well, it's good now. They fixed it twice.
okay.
But one time I was going through the drive-through and the window wouldn't come up, and I could hear it was working pretty hard.
But you kept going?
So I forced it with one hand and held the button in with the other hand because it was minus 40 outside, and all of a sudden I just heard this like plastic breaking in there. So then I took both my hands on the outside of the door, like I got through the drive-through outside the door, and I sandwiched it and pulled it to the top, and it stayed there, which was sweet.
Didn't
and then
go down?
no, I put a couple pieces of tuck tape to hold it, and then got it fixed. And then the next time I went to use it, I was actually rolling it down in a drive-through, and it was minus 40 again. And I hear this plastic all break in there.
Oh.
But this time I made sure, like, there was no ice, nothing. I was like, okay, I don't want to break another thing. I don't want to do this again. So I made sure everything was good. So I thought. And I hit the button just immediately. I heard all the plastic break in there.
Ugh.
And this time, though, the window didn't stay up. The window just dropped down.
Oh.
So I had to drive to work in like minus 40 at like 5:30 in the morning with my window down. I'm just like, I don't want to do this.
The drive home almost would have been worse because your car would have been so
It
cold.
was so cold. And it snowed that day too.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But it's a sacrifice we pay for.
Do you think they replaced it with cheap plastic and the plastic broke because it was so cold?
The guy asked the mechanic why it did that. And he said sometimes because it is plastic, he said sometimes they can just fail. Like they can just be kind of garbage. That's what he said. I trust him. He seems like a friendly guy.
Okay. Fair enough.
He'll call me from his personal phone sometimes.
That's
which is
really nice.
That's a nice feature on like a Saturday. And be like, hey, just so you know, your car's ready to be picked up. No one's at the shop today, but if you want to go grab it, you can grab it. And I'm like, okay. He's like, do you need a ride there? I'm like, no.
That's service.
20 some years old. I think I should be able to get my way there.
That's my mom.
Yeah. I was like, dang, this guy's nice.
That is nice.
Yeah, that's wild that we got onto that story. Where did you grow up, Julie?
Where
were you born?
I grew up in Winkler. I was born in Germany.
Nice. I only interview people from Germany, apparently.
Oh, really?
I think actually Nancy was from Germany. I'm trying to
So
think if
one
there's,
person.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Alejandro, like Ed, is from Mexico. We're quite diverse, real melting pot.
No kidding.
In this podcast. How old were you when you moved here?
I was 7.
Ooh, so after the nursing dream.
Yeah.
Was it still the nursing dream still going at that point?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember being in Germany?
I do some parts of it. Obviously, I remember the hospital.
Yeah.
When I was 4.
Yeah, with syringes.
Yeah. What else do I remember? I remember going to school there and our neighborhood and things like that. So I think so.
Was it, I mean, how I guess it's probably tough to recall, but was it quite a big change coming from there to here, or did it, like, remembering back, is it not that big of a thing?
In some ways, it was very different. The environment is completely different here, right? Like there, it's all like hills and mountains and old buildings.
Mhm.
And then you come to Winkler and it's not that.
No, it's a lot of like vinyl siding
Yeah.
and
That was
open
actually
spaces.
one of the things that was like one of the biggest changes that I noticed is the houses here are completely different from how they are there. They're
Yeah.
all tall and made of brick there. Like our house was, we had a basement, main floor, second floor, third floor. Yeah, or like an attic kind of, but like the attic was, you could hang out up there. Whereas here you have your, usually like your main floor, maybe an upstairs and then a basement.
Oh yeah.
So houses are taller there.
Is it where you were at of what you remember? Is it pretty condensed population wise, or is it pretty spread out, similar to here?
Well, I lived in a little village, so there wasn't, the population wasn't very high. I think there was like maybe 2,000 people that lived there.
Okay.
It's tighter than it is here, so everyone lives closer together, but there wasn't as many people.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
just like it's a small community, but they're packed together.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So then you lived in a village. Is it then? Do you still have like kind of the big box stores or restaurants and stuff like?
No.
Or is it all?
Chain restaurants there are, like in Europe in general, I feel like there isn't a whole lot, or at least not like there are here. They still feel mostly family owned. The nearest McDonald's, I think, was like a 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
Grocery stores, we had a tiny little grocery store, and then it got bought out by a chain. And
Do you remember
then-
what it was called?
Yes.
Can you say it?
Lampe.
Does that mean anything in
Lamp.
particular?
That was their last name.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
was like,
it
did they
means
just-
lamp.
They're just like, we're just gonna name this an
Yeah.
object.
No.
Stool.
Yeah.
Come by your lettuce.
Yeah. No, it was called, that was what it was called. And so now it's owned by a chain. And so it's kind of like with Ford, where you have like Ford and then ours is called Hometown.
Okay.
So it has the name of the chain, and then the whatever family that owns it has their own little name, which is still the same, Lampe.
Really?
Mhm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's probably like the gentlest German word I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because if you add a couple of letters before it, it turns into a swear word.
Really? What is
Yeah.
it?
I'm not going to say it.
You can say it. This is explicit.
What if people hear me say it?
They won't. This isn't recording yet.
Okay. If you add a sh before it,
Yeah.
you should say it.
Schlamp? Schlampa?
Lampe. Yeah.
Lampa? Schlampa?
Yeah. Do you know what that means?
No, what does that mean?
Bitch. Yeah. So then when you were younger and you wanted to get away with it, you would just say SCH, which means SCH.
Yeah.
Lampe.
Oh,
And
is the
then
workaround?
It was, yeah, not that bad.
Yeah, that's the way swears work.
Yeah.
I forgot. That is crazy about swears, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That people just, if you spell out a swear, it's not as bad.
No, exactly.
That's wild.
Frick, totally fine.
Yeah, yeah. Same exact meaning.
Yeah.
Can be said the exact same way with the same intent. But
It's okay.
yeah, it feels different.
It'll slide.
That's funny. Do you remember the first time you said a swear word? Or like,
No.
like conscious? Do you remember a time? Like, can you remember back and be like, okay, I remember saying this word and I knew it was a bad word, but I said it anyways.
No, I think I was pretty sheltered. So I didn't even know most of the bad words. It doesn't help that I was an immigrant.
Sounds like you knew one.
Well, yeah, I had an older sister. But like even with when we moved here, because English isn't my first language, I didn't know any of like the English swear words until I was probably like 12.
Okay.
And then people started saying them and I was like, wow, what does that mean?
And you went off.
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
now,
yeah, absolutely.
Now we can't stop you. You're doing pretty good on this podcast so far. It's crazy. I was a little bit concerned. I remember saying the F word.
Oh, really?
Like I remember saying like shit when I was young and being like, my parents kind of being like, hey, don't say
Mhm.
that. I also remember saying like, oh my God, that was a big one.
Oh, we
They're
didn't
like,
say that.
yeah, that was, you do not. I still don't think I say it.
Good.
But yeah, that was a big one. I remember that. But I remember learning the F word and being like in a playground and just using it. Like it must have been like grade 3. So I don't know how old. What are you? 8?
For what reason? Is grade 3? Yeah, 8.
Yeah. I have no idea. But I remember I did have this distinct memory of being on the playground and using it way too much because it was
That's
like a new
hilarious.
word. And I'm like, I got to get all the uses out of this sucker. I probably used it in context that didn't
No.
even make any sense. It's just, I remember there's a kid, I think I'm going to blame it on another kid. There's a kid who introduced me. He had a CD player And one day he was listening to music over lunch in like grade 3, which is weird.
We weren't allowed to do that in grade 3.
Yeah. And I'm like, what are you listening to? And I remember it was Eminem.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Was it Eminem?
And thinking back to that, like, what
Some
kind
shady.
of grade 3 kid is listening to Eminem
Yeah.
on his lunch break on a CD player? And he also used to sing like some South Park songs too in like grade 3, grade 4.
South Park has songs.
Yeah, there was one about I distinctly remember it was a Christmas poo named Mr. Hanky. Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo comes from me. He comes from you. Yeah, there's some more. And I can't believe I remember that because that
That's
was grade 3,
hilarious.
grade 4. But yeah, I'm blaming it on him.
I have never watched South Park.
I've only watched parts of South Park.
I don't think I would like it very much.
No, why?
I don't know. It seems kind of dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing I think I like about it is they make fun of everything. Like nothing is off limits.
Yeah, but they also have really annoying voices, don't they?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's what I struggle with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember TV shows from when you were young, like in German? Like, did you ever, when you moved here, I had a friend who was from Germany and he watched like Ice Age in German.
Mhm. Yeah, there are certain movies and shows that I still prefer watching in German. Prison Break sounds so much better in German, which is really weird.
I've never seen Prison Break,
Yeah.
but I know what it is.
So,
That's wild.
This is how I explain it to people. If you watch a movie or a show in a different language, they match the voice with the character,
Okay.
right? Whereas here, sometimes you ever like hear someone speak and you're like, wow, your voice is not at all like what I imagined it to be looking at you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so if they translate it, if they dub it into a different language, they can choose something that fits. And so the interesting thing is they'll usually have like, for example, take someone like Brad Pitt. They'll have one specific voice actor that does all the Brad Pitt voices in each movie. So it still stays consistent, which is kind of weird. So
is there any famous voice actors in Germany?
I'm sure there is. I wouldn't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Just so do you remember a movie? Like you said, Prison Break.
Prison Break, yeah.
Do you remember a movie? Was there any movies that you can't get here that you could get there that you remember?
Like German movies?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Can you name one? Like your favorite one?
There's one, it's called Traumschiff Surprise.
Oh dear.
It's it's a stupid movie. It's so funny though.
Is it like a kids movie?
No, it's
Oh.
not. No.
How old were you when you watched this?
Well, my parents had it on VHS.
Heck yeah.
So I think the first time I watched it, I was probably like 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely didn't understand all the humor. So for example, I didn't realize that it was I think it was a Star Trek, like, parody.
Oh, a German Star Trek
Yeah.
parody.
Yeah. And it's so funny.
That's
It's
unreal.
hilarious. So yeah, there's lots of funny movies in German. So that one is specifically a German movie. I think they did translate it into other languages, maybe. But there's also German shows that are pretty good.
What are those?
There's one, it's called, in English, it'd be Turkish for Beginners. It's pretty
Okay.
funny. Because there's lots of Turkish people that live in Germany. And so they have, it's a show about a German family with a single mom that marries a Turkish guy with his 2 kids. And then it's a blended family. It's very funny.
Do I like between Germany and I know they're different, but between Germany and Russia, I don't see them laughing very much, like in my imagination. Maybe I just haven't been exposed to the laughter.
I don't laugh
Haven't
very
been in
much.
the situations. Do they laugh when they watch these shows? Like, do you guys sit together and you kind of laugh with each other, or is it pretty like just you're laughing inside?
That's usually what it is. Like
That's
if
wild.
if Charlie shows me something funny, I'll sit there and be like, "Oh, that's funny."
And then right back to business.
Yeah,
Eh?
that's
Have
it.
you ever laughed really hard? You think? I'm just kidding.
Never, not once.
Just like, have you ever laughed out loud? Just that's funny.
Yeah, I don't laugh.
Is that a cultural thing? Like, is that true? What I'm saying? Am I stereotyping pretty heavy, or would you say there is some truth to it?
Maybe.
I
You
know
don't have
got-
time to laugh.
Jeez. I heard that in Russia, the reason that people don't laugh that much is because a lot of them have like the context of like the wars and stuff like that. And that changed the environment quite a bit. Like it became very serious. So a lot of things were to the point until it becomes a specific like event that now we're enjoying it. But outside of that, it's like unless you're at that thing, that get together, it's serious.
You're there to work. No, I don't know. Maybe.
It's like
I
the
feel like
smiling
I
thing.
have.
If someone smiles at you, you're suspicious of them.
Yeah, in Germany, that's definitely the case. In Russia, even more than in Germany.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I heard. Like if you're walking down the street, you don't smile at someone because they're like, why? You have no reason to smile.
Yeah, that's me. I smile a lot. Especially if I'm uncomfortable, it's really bad. But in Germany, if I'm walking around, I'm smiling at everyone, and everyone probably thinks I'm an idiot. Like, why are you smiling?
Have you gone back
Yeah.
to Germany?
Yeah, I go all the time. I go try to go every 4 years. I go all the time, every weekend.
Every weekend. Casual
Yeah.
flights. How long is it to get there? Well, flight, I should say.
So you fly from here to like Toronto first or Montreal, and then you fly so that's what, like 2.5 hours. And then from there you'd fly to wherever in Europe. And that's usually, I think if you fly there, it's about 8.5 hours. If you fly back, it's 6.5 hours. It's less flying back for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, I think 8.5 hours usually.
I want to make a joke about the world spinning, but I also feel like it might be right.
That is why. I think that's actually
yeah,
why.
I'm like in my head, I'm like, is it because the world spins again?
Yes.
But also in my head, I'm like, is that really stupid to say?
No, I think that actually, maybe not. Maybe
Wind
we're both
only-
dumb.
Wind only goes one direction.
Yeah. No, so it's a long flight.
Is it, when you fly there, do you like get a bed thing? Like, can you lay down? Or is it you just
On the
sit-
plane?
Yeah, do you just sit in like the typical...
Have you ever been
Airplane.
on a plane?
I've been on a plane, yeah. But there's like planes where you can get beds.
Yeah. Do you think I have that much money?
I don't know. You do all right.
No.
Credit union.
Yeah, right. I'm a baller.
I'm paying you all right.
Yeah, I'm paying you all right.
It goes full circle,
Yeah.
community.
No.
No, but what is it just typical plane seats?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Do you want to hear the worst story
Yeah.
or
hit us.
my worst experience flying? So I try to go every 4 years. I think this might have been the last time that I flew back. Maybe. I'm not sure. I was flying by myself for whatever reason. So I've gone 3 times without my parents. Actually, I've only ever been to Germany once with my parents, which was in 2006.
Do you prefer that? Like, or do you have a preference?
I like flying by myself only because I don't like to worry about other people.
Yeah.
Other people slow me down.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. So I like to just be able to do my thing and not have to worry about making sure everyone else is okay.
Yeah.
I'm a control freak. So one time I was flying back to Germany, from Germany to here. And I think it was really stupid. I had a flight from one place in Germany, one city in Germany to another city in Germany. It was like a 35-minute flight. It was so stupid. But for some reason, that was the way that with the flights, how it worked out. And when you have flights like that, if you have a small connecting flight, you have to take it. Even though realistically, I could have just driven to the other airport and it would have taken me just as long. If I missed that first flight, all my other flights would have been canceled.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I had to go on that one stupid little flight. So I did. Then so I flew I think it was from Hanover in Germany to Frankfurt. And then I sat at the Frankfurt airport for 6 hours. And then I flew from Frankfurt to, I think it was Toronto. And that flight, I, somehow ended up in a middle seat, the furthest seat back against where the washrooms are. So you can't lean back in those seats. So I ended up in the middle and I sat beside an Arab man and an East Indian woman. And so the woman was from Toronto. She had just flown to India. She said she was there for, I think it was like 24 hours. She literally flew there, spent 24 hours with her family, and then flew back home. It was crazy. She was super nice. But anyways, so I sat there in this middle seat, couldn't lean back. I was exhausted. And then I had to sit there for whatever it was, 6.5 hours. Couldn't move, couldn't do anything.
Ooh.
And then this guy next to me, who doesn't speak very good English, if any English, pulls out his iPad, massive iPad, and starts playing Arabic music out loud. And the woman leans over to me. She's like, I don't think he knows. Like, I don't think he knows his headphones aren't plugged in. And I looked at her and I'm like, he doesn't have headphones on. He's intentionally playing it out loud. And I started feeling like, so the music was playing and then they were all sitting like super close to me. She was falling asleep. They had their arms all over me and it was tight and I couldn't lean back.
Sounds like either a plane ride or a good cult.
Yeah.
You got an
Yeah.
East Indian lady,
Yeah.
an Arab guy, and a German born
Yeah.
Canadian.
So no, I remember sitting there and I was so uncomfortable because whatever, it was a long flight. I wasn't feeling good. And I was just sitting there and I was just crying silently. There was tears just
Really?
yeah,
How
I
old
was
were you?
miserable. This was like 3, 4 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That would be rough.
It was
Yeah.
awful.
Wow. That's so. Wow. That is. See, and you couldn't do anything about it.
No, I just sat there.
Oh,
It was the worst.
that's a sad time.
Yeah.
Did he run his music the whole time? Like did he play?
For like a probably 10, 15 minutes. And then eventually I think he caught on.
That is freaking annoying to do
Yeah.
that.
And then he also couldn't sit still. He kept like adjusting and like moving in the seat, which there's not a lot of room in those seats. So
Yeah, I
then every time
know.
he moved, then like I would have to.
Yeah, and in the middle, it's always weird with the armrest too.
Yeah. So I sat like this.
Yeah, it's. I strive to someday be as like I don't know what it would be, like unaware maybe, or just don't give as many shits
Ignorant?
as someone. Yeah, someone who can sit on like do something like that.
Yeah.
Like there's people out there who can just like they can just do things like that. They
Mhm.
can sit on a plane and then just crank their phone volume on and just sit there. And in my head, I'm like, one, this is probably annoying for people around me. Two,
I can't even lean the seat back without feeling bad.
yeah, and what are they gonna think about the music I'm listening to? In my head, I'm
What
like,
if
oh,
they're
maybe,
judging you?
yeah, maybe this is not like appropriate music.
Just play Bad Bunny and you'll be fine.
Yes, everyone's getting hype.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like you're going through that, and you're like, but there's some people who can just do stuff like that.
I know.
Like I on the way to Mexico this last time, we were sitting there, and the guy pulls out not one, not two, but three separate bagel sandwiches, which is totally fine. So it's a bagel, and you can see there's meat in between. Totally fine, no big deal. Until he opens these things, like they're wrapped in saran wrap, and I do not know what meat he had on them, but they were disgusting smelling. And he was like 50 years old, and he stood the entire time. So he stood right next to me with his ass up against my face, talking to like another bunch of 40-some-year-olds or 50-year-olds. And it was the only people standing in the plane the whole time were people above the age of 40. Everybody else was like younger and just sitting there being normal.
Maybe they needed to make sure that they're getting proper drainage in there.
And they're, yeah, maybe they shouldn't fly.
Do you know what though? I have a funny story about that as well. So my parents are from Kazakhstan, right? Or whatever, Soviet Union. And so
Do you trust them?
my parents?
Yeah.
No, they're really sketchy.
Okay,
Yeah,
carry
no.
on.
Anyways, my dad's extended family, there's some interesting people there. And so he had his sister and three of her friends or like distant relatives, I'm not exactly sure. They have people that they knew here. So they decided they were going to come and visit all together. My aunt's husband had passed away, and so she was trying to do more stuff now, like visit. She has come to visit us a couple times. She's just getting out there doing more traveling and stuff like that because she's a widow now and she's lonely.
She's back on the market.
Yeah, that's right.
It's terrible.
No, she's
Not
the best.
terrible. She's back
so
on the
sweet.
market, but
She's
she's out and about.
yeah.
What's her name?
Frida.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, she comes and she visits us with these people, and the only reason they just traveled together. They were not here together. They just traveled together because they're from the same place in Germany, and they were both coming to Winkler, or southern Manitoba. And so I think it was the flight here. So my aunt is they moved to Germany in the 90s, so she's assimilated. Like is that what it's called? I think it's called assimilated.
That
right?
sounds right.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's enough syllables
Okay,
and letters
good.
in that
If
word.
it's not,
that you're
I
good.
don't know what I'm saying.
Just
She
say
has
hieroglyphs.
adapted.
Yeah, she's hieroglyphic.
Yeah. No, so she's whatever. She's adjusted and she knows kind of like what's okay and what's not okay and whatever. Like
Okay.
she picks up on social cues. These people that she was with are not quite like that. Like they're still living in old Soviet Union times where you have a chicken, you eat every single part of the chicken. And when I say every single part of the chicken, I mean every single part of the chicken. So they were sitting at the airport. She pulls out a Ziploc bag of chicken feet and she starts it opens up her Ziploc bag and starts eating these chicken feet, and they smell so bad. And so she had like people that were sitting beside her. She sees them like looking at her, and she like offers it to them too. And they're like, no, we're good. And she's like, oh, okay, whatever, keeps eating them. And then on the airplane, she pulls out a container of sauerkraut and starts eating that on the airplane. So I was like, my aunt
That's
was miserable.
awesome.
She's like, never again am I flying with them. She was so embarrassed.
They
It
just
was
went
so
all
funny.
out. They're just like,
Mhm.
we're gonna eat everything.
No shame.
Everything we have.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
How it like what do they like to be around? Like if they're so old school like that? Like I'm saying so old school. Obviously they're not gonna be crazy old school, but
Yeah.
are they especially for you living here for as long as you have now, like is that lifestyle? Because that's drastically probably different than even what you grew up till 7 with.
hmm
Is that weird for you to see? Like, do your parents interact with them?
I think it's a little bit of like, it's a little bit embarrassing, or I don't know if even embarrassing is the right word, but at the same time, you know that they don't, like, they mean well. They don't
Yeah.
know better, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's a lot. That's a lot more wholesome though than like playing music out loud.
yeah.
Like it's still
Yeah.
just as annoying, but
Yeah.
that's wild. Sauerkraut's wild.
Mhm.
Just pull that out, just like a full meal. Some people do that kind of stuff though. Like they have everything in their bag.
That's so funny though, because like when I fly, I'm not hungry. Like, I don't want to eat.
Oh really? That's all I want to do when I'm on the plane. It's just
really?
keep eating. It's
Snack
like a theater.
though, or eat? Like, you want to have
Snack.
a proper meal, or
No.
yeah, a snack is, I guess, a little bit different. But even that, I don't want to, because I have such a picky stomach. I'm scared. Like the pressure.
Yeah, it makes
Changes?
you gassy.
Yeah.
That's one thing I think we have in common, just getting to know you, is like I don't want to eat on a plane because I can't feel like I can eat properly.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I eat a meal, I want like to eat the meal properly and
Mhm.
comfortably. I know there's some people who are going to be listening to this who have seen me hold a fork and are like, "You're a caveman. What are you talking about eating properly?" Yeah, but at the same time, like I like sitting down at a kitchen table. There's something about
Mhm.
that that's nice. I like it to be set up. I
Oh,
like
yeah.
everything to be in front of me or everything to be sorted out. Where you're on a plane or somewhere like that or in a car or something, which you can make work, but it's like chaos. Like you're trying to dig in a bag while you have half your food on the little tray thing, and then you're trying to reach for your drink over here,
I hate that.
and then you're stuck in the middle, so your arms can't do much. Yeah.
Charlie loves eating in his truck. I hate it. So every single time, if we're like going to just grab takeout or something like that, then like usually what we'll do is we'll grab takeout, and then I will want to watch a movie or something like that. We'll get home and we'll be sitting in our driveway, and he'll want to eat his food in the driveway. And I'm like, the door is right there. Like, let's just go inside. And he's like, no, I want to eat in the truck.
Why does he like it? Do you know?
I think he just likes his truck.
Okay. Do you think like is it like something I could see if you sit in front of the TV, like maybe I know sometimes for me, like if our family's like, oh, we're gonna go sit and watch a movie and eat supper or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
or stuff like that. In my head, I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to just sit at the table. Do you think there's
Yeah.
something for him where he's like, okay, there's nothing in front of me, I'm just in my truck?
I don't know if it's that, because like
He just got his phone out.
yeah, no. Well, that's the thing. He's not talking to me because he eats so fast. He doesn't have time to talk to me.
Do you think he's
And-
impatient? Like he doesn't want to wait to get inside?
I think that's probably part of it. Yeah.
Oh,
Because
jeez.
I always make him, if we do get like takeout, I
Yeah.
make him wait until we get home. I'm like, we're not eating this as we're driving.
Yeah.
That's whatever.
And
Wait
there's
till we get
something
home.
to eating with someone too.
Yeah.
There is something to that. I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like.
for sure. My family, that was so important to my parents. We had supper together every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did
And,
that too for a little while.
Like there was no, you didn't just not go
it
for
wasn't
supper.
an option.
If you were home, you were sitting at the table having supper.
I think someday when I grow a big significant family.
Someday when I grow up.
Yeah. I think that it
Yeah.
seems like there's something to that. And that's actually
Yeah.
a fond memory I have as a kid. I even remember like a good memory of like I didn't want to do the dishes. So what I would do is towards the end of the meal, and eventually it just became a thing. I would be like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. So I'd go to the bathroom and I'd spend like, I don't know how long. It felt like 15 minutes. Maybe it was 30, maybe it was 5. But then everybody else would do the dishes while I was there. And then my body started to adjust. And then I did have to go to the bathroom. But they also were like, hey, we know you're doing this. Like,
Mhm.
you got to help us. I'm like, no, but now I actually do need to go to, which wasn't great.
That's hilarious.
Probably
though.
still not great at that.
You started as like a stereotype that guys spend forever in the
In
bathroom.
the bathroom? Yeah, I like to read. I like to read on the toilet.
Yeah, the hairspray. bottles.
No. I
shampoo
had little
bottles?
books in there
Oh,
because I grew up with two sisters and a mom the majority of the time. So I also didn't use their bathroom because as a young boy, their bathroom was gross because they were girls. So I would,
that's hilarious.
yeah, my mom's bedroom had a bathroom in it, and that was my bathroom. That's the one I would go to. And I would be pissed if anybody else used it. Doesn't that sound spoiled?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure they did use it, but if I figured out they used it, I'd be like, why would you use that? Now I have to clean it. And I would clean the bathrooms in the house too. Like that was my chore because that was like a sacred place for me.
Wow. I
That's
was
my
not
story.
that lucky.
No,
Shared bathrooms.
just one.
Two. I have
Two, yeah.
3 siblings, so
Just one shower head.
yeah.
In the middle of the room. One kid at a time.
The middle of the room, that's a weird place to have a shower.
Well, coming from Germany, not that
Yeah.
odd.
It's against the wall, usually.
Well, yeah, depends where you had a shower. Julie's like, nope.
That's you know what? Actually, that's one weird thing. I don't know if this was just the houses that I saw or if this was an actual thing. They have bathtubs and then they have shower heads in the bathtub, but they don't have like a shower curtain that goes around it.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
I don't know why that is.
What's in my mom's house when we first moved in? Obviously, I guess it was my house too at that time. As a child, you just also take ownership of it. She had a big bathtub in that room, and it was carpeted. The bathroom had carpet. Yeah,
That's weird.
That was weird. And there's no shower curtain, and the shower head was dead center.
Oh, see, usually they don't even have. This is the other weird thing. The shower head will be like hip level.
Do you think,
it won't be mounted up top.
Do you think maybe it was for just bathing and just like let's say you're bathing
showering
and you're
off
just
after.
yeah, and you're just like rinsing your hair out or something
I think
like that?
so.
Because that was the worst. As you got older, like did you like as a kid, did you bathe a lot?
No.
Oh.
No.
Like just in general, you just weren't very
No,
clean?
I just don't shower. No. There's an age gap between my younger siblings and I. So like I mean maybe when I was a little kid probably.
Okay.
But like when I got to like 7 years old, then my mom had my younger brother and then later my little sister. So it was like they needed
the tub.
Yeah. And well, I couldn't take the bath because if I needed to be supervised.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at 7 you should be okay, but you never know.
You could have drowned. I could have.
Yeah. I'm dumb enough.
So you don't remember, like I was thinking in my head, I kind of remember the moment where I was like, this is weird. Like as a kid, you're so small, you can fit like 14 of you in a bathtub. And then you shampoo your hair with shampoo that doesn't hurt your eyes. And then you dip your head in the water and you rinse it off and you're good to go. But then it becomes an age where all of a sudden it gets kind of weird to dip your head in bathtub water.
Yeah, like
to
dirty
wash it.
water.
Yeah, the water's dirtier. You're a bigger human. Like it feels a little bit bitch to get on like how would you do it now? Would you get on all fours and dip your head in?
I'm thinking about it now, and I do remember taking a bath when I was little, and we would always have to shower off after we were done the bath.
Yeah, you would, okay. Which seems like a smart move.
Yeah.
That's funny. I remember being like at an age where I'm like, hey, this is weird. Like I'm like in the fetal position trying to dip my head in the water. Like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to maybe this is weird. Did you ever have to bathe with your siblings?
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
Yeah.
Well, just my older sister, because that would have been weird if I would have bathed with my younger siblings, because that's a big age gap.
You're like 15. They're like 3.
Yeah.
Like, what's up, guys?
No, just my older sister, because that was only 2.5 year age gap, and that was also only when we were like little.
Yeah. Dang, I remember that. I remember but I was also, again, I was the youngest and a boy, so I'm just like in the corner of the tub, like terrified. Like, this is cold. I hope no one poops today. Dang. And then when you drain the tub and the little thing swirls to the bottom.
The tornado?
Yeah. That was a good time. Dang, how did we get to that?
I don't even know. Oh, shower heads.
Oh yeah, German stuff.
Yeah.
Would you ever move back to Germany?
I don't know if I would move back. I still have my like German citizenship, so I could.
You could, yeah.
I could if I wanted to.
Things were looking up over there.
Yeah, the only thing is that I would go there and I would have no job because they don't have like their education system and whatever. It's all very specific.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be able to just go there and do what I do here.
What do you mean? Like what it would be the difference?
So should we go start from the beginning?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so when you start off as a kid, you go to kindergarten. So kindergarten there is very focused on socializing and building good social habits. So they don't actually really teach you anything in kindergarten other than how to interact with other kids. Um, Whereas here you do start to learn a little bit. So
Yeah.
that's how they start in kindergarten there. And then you go into grade one. And then in grade one, you go straight into learning and you learn like everything. So when I was in grade one, I had learned how to handwrite, regular writing, add, whatever, subtract, divide, multiply, all of that in grade one. Which here you don't learn most of those things other than adding and subtracting basic numbers. You don't learn most of that stuff until like grade 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Like handwriting was grade 4. I learned how to do it when I was 6.
Oh yeah.
So whatever, it's a little bit different. It's very intense there. So you start doing all of that. I moved when I had just about finished grade 1, not quite. But then you do grade 1 to 4, and then in grade 4 they kind of assess where you are. It's really bad. They figure out how smart you are, and then based on how smart you are, they put you in whichever school. So there's 3 different levels of schools.
This sounds like the most either Chinese thing I've ever heard or German thing.
They're
I've
being
ever
efficient.
heard.
Yeah. They're trying to make sure that all the smart kids, get
We're
somewhere
like,
in life.
Yeah, we're like, we got to take advantage of these ones
Yeah.
to move our society forward.
So from grade 5, then you would get placed to whichever school, depending on how well you're learning. And then you don't have to go with the school that they recommend for you, because they'll recommend whichever school. But if your parents decide, no, we'd actually like you to go into this other one, you can. But then depending on which school you go to, that will determine what you kind of do later in life. So for example, the most difficult school, the most challenging one is called a gymnasium, which is people that want to go to university and things like that after school. So they go until grade 13. So
Okay.
those would be people that would become like doctors or businessmen or like probably pilots, like professionals.
Yeah.
Then they have the middle level, which is for like nurses, or like probably like if you want to become a police officer, you could go there, just whatever, things like that. And then they have like the basic one, which would be if you wanted to do trades. So maybe you need more hands-on stuff. And then there is one more, which is for people who have like learning disabilities that need something really easy. But whatever, so you go to school. Depending on which school you go to, that will determine how many grades you have. So some of them graduate after grade 10, some of them go until grade 13.
What if you get put in, let's say, the trade school and you're like, wow, I want to start a business when I'm older?
It's super difficult to start businesses in Europe. Like, super difficult.
Okay, what if you want to be a pilot and you're learning how to be a plumber?
Then you have to go to the other school, I
Like,
guess.
can you do that?
I don't even know. Probably not.
Dang.
You'd have to go to the other school. But anyway, so after you finish your schooling, then you have to figure out what you want to do. And then depending on what you want to do, you either continue your education or you do they do everything based on practicums. So if you, let's say I decided I want to become a nurse, I would go to nursing school. And at the same time as I'm doing my education, I would also be working as a nurse. So you get hands-on and like classroom learning at the same time, which to me seems really smart. I don't know why we do that. Don't do that here.
It seems very efficient.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, it seems like this is structured to get you to the end goal fast. I can see a few flaws in that system.
Yeah.
But I can see some really
What are
good
the
successes.
flaws? Point them out.
Like I think it'd be very hard to like truly dictate a direction for a kid like when they're young. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it somehow still works.
Because when I graduated high school, I did construction.
Okay, so the difference in Germany from here is you don't work as a kid. You don't work when you're in high school. You don't have a job. You go to school, or you only get jobs when you're older, and the jobs that you have there are different. Like you can't just decide, like if I moved there, I couldn't be like, oh, I'm just going to go get a job. I can't.
That's what it seems like.
Everything I do, I have to do some type of like practicum or learning for. So even if I want to become a cashier, I'd have to go through a little program to learn how to become a cashier properly.
Wow.
So you could do whatever you wanted to do, but
you
construction,
just have to go through this process.
yeah. So like businesses for construction, for example, you have to have, they have kind of like how we have here a red seal, but they call it a master.
Okay.
You have to, or a meister,
Wizard?
meister. you have to become a meister of something or something like that. I don't know exactly what it is, which is
Wow.
super, super hard to do. And those people can start their own businesses, but usually they just get hired to manage other businesses. So like that would be like, you know how they always say they hire engineers to become managers? Like most engineers aren't actually doing engineering. They're just
Yeah.
managers. It's kind of like that. You have learned everything about that. So now you would probably be really good at managing other things, even though realistically you're probably even better at actually doing that job.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. At 7 years old, they didn't determine you yet? Like,
no, that's in grade 4.
okay, so you didn't get your final grade yet?
No.
Or dang.
But I know where I would have been because my parents would have wanted me to put me into the most difficult one.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I was a
okay.
genius.
Okay. No,
No.
I'm kidding. I could see that. What about your oldest sibling?
She got placed into one, but my parents did. If we would have stayed there, I think they would have put her into a different one.
Okay.
I think she got placed in the middle one. So she would have been really good with hands-on stuff because classroom learning was not her thing. But my parents, same with my cousins. All of my cousins on my mom's side, they all went to the toughest one.
So basically, like, your parents can say, "Hey, no, we're gonna put you in there, and we're gonna make this work," kind of thing. Okay, and then that, I'm assuming, will kind of help guarantee you get a better income.
Yeah.
And then are a lot of people going to university after that? Or
Yeah.
some sort of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in that final, like the most difficult one, right? Because first of all, you go to school until you're 19. But then the other thing that's so different there is your education's paid for the most part.
Okay.
And you get benefits while you're in school. So you actually get kind of like we have child tax benefit here. In Germany, if you decide to go to school, you get your own child tax. So like you get like what are they called? Allowances from the government to encourage you to go to school. They'll help you
wow.
pay for they have a living allowance and things like that.
What did your parents do when they were there?
Well, my mom was also going to become a nurse, but my parents, so they moved to Germany. I think they were 16. So they already had done most of their schooling. So they did move. When they moved, they did a little bit of, my mom was in a boarding school. So because they didn't speak any German. That was the other thing. They moved to Germany, didn't speak any German.
What language did they speak?
Russian.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Russian, and then also the language that they speak in Kazakhstan.
Do you know any Russian?
I can understand it, yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Good for you. So you can speak and understand German and write German.
Mhm.
You can speak and you can
I can
speak
speak
English. Yeah. Writing and understanding.
No,
you can
not
speak
really.
and understand English
Yeah.
and write English. And can you write any Russian?
Yeah.
Really?
And I can read.
Wow. Yeah, you would have gone to the tough school.
I did Russian in university.
Like, obviously here. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like here.
Yeah. No, as a 7-year-old.
Yeah, you're out there doing it. That's so. So your parents came from Kazakhstan and they knew Russian, and then they moved. What made them move to Germany?
Well, it was the Soviet Union, so it doesn't take a whole lot to make you want to move.
I don't know. I mean, it depends who you talk to.
Yeah.
I'm
So
just kidding.
no, it was interesting. There was two big influxes of immigrants that moved from Soviet Union to Germany, or I guess Europe in general. And I think some of them moved in like the 90s, or sorry, the first group moved in the 70s, and then they made it really, really, really difficult to move. And so then in the 90s is when they opened I think when the Soviet Union kind of fell apart, that's when it was a lot easier to move. And so that's when my family.
Did they move with their parents and everything at that age? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So my dad's side of the family ended up in northern Germany. And then my mom's side of the family ended up in southern Germany.
And then they met each other.
They
when
met
were
in
Germany?
Kazakhstan already.
Oh, okay.
They knew each other from school.
Dang, this sounds like a real romance story. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to have them on the podcast.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if I think my mom mentioned this, that when they met, my dad was actually dating one of my mom's friends.
Oh, nice. So he's working his way up.
Yeah.
He was kind of like the guy who started in the hands-on school, and then maybe that's not the best example, but the hands-on school, and he was working his way up to
And
the
his
top.
friends were like, yeah, he can do better.
Oh, jeez. And then so what made them end up wanting to move here? And is it just your parents that moved here? Like
It
from the
was us
family?
first. Yeah.
Yeah, and what made them want to now get out of Germany?
Well, Germany's very different than here. Even my relatives were just here. I was telling you, right? So I had relatives that came from Germany, and even my cousin said it's so different. The way that kids are here, they're actually being kids,
Yeah.
right? Like in Germany, you can most 8-year-olds have a cell phone, their own cell phone already.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I just look at my sister who's 16 and my cousin who's actually I think she's a month older than my sister. Completely different types of people. Like my sister, when we went to visit there last time, she would have been like 12 or something. And she was like so excited to go shopping. When they went shopping, the first thing she went to was the toys. She's like, oh, let's look at toys. Whereas my cousin was like, oh, let's go look at clothing and makeup. Right? Like so different. As a 12-year-old, that's what they want to do already. Um, well, like the high schools in Germany, in the bathrooms, they have blue lights so that you can't shoot up at school.
Oh, she can't see your veins.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Whereas
So
here, they don't
it's pretty
think about that.
like kids develop pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure in some cities it's probably like that here too. I think we're very sheltered.
Yeah, our community's probably we are blessed with that. I think sometimes we forget that. Like there is sometimes where we're behind on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of moving forward or having nuanced perspectives, but there is good things too to that.
For sure.
Where you hear people like your family come, like your outside of your immediate family come here and visit, and they have these things, and it's easy to forget. Oh, we don't really have to deal with that much, and if we do have to deal with it, it's super rare.
Yeah,
and it ends up just being kind of like a town story that you can laugh about, rather than a reality that you have to actually think your kids are going through.
Like people shit talk Winkler a lot, but it's actually a great place to raise your family. Like we have teachers that actually care about the students, most of them.
Yep.
And the community overall wants what's best for the kids that live here, right?
Yeah, no place is perfect, and I think sometimes too we get in the communities and we think that disagreeing with each other is always a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it always is.
No.
It's like you have two very different perspectives at times, or two perspectives that aren't that different, and they kind of butt heads. And then you kind of work it out. Maybe one group's not happy or one individual's not happy and then the other one is for a little while, but you go back and forth.
You need that.
Yeah,
you need to be challenging each other, right? So
yeah, where you get into sometimes big cities and it's so many people that it never gets to that point, and people just end up. That's one thing I've noticed more as the communities have grown. It's especially growing up here my whole life, like with Morden being outside of Winkler, it's always being smaller. As a kid, I always remember I knew all my neighbors. Neighbors always talked to you. You could go to the neighbor's house. I remember sitting in the neighbor's backyard and having a fire because we didn't have a fire pit. So we just used theirs. Just different things like that. Or they would invite you over and you could go eat apples from their apple trees. Just stuff like that. And now I walk out of my house sometimes and like your neighbors just don't even look at you or wave. And I get it too. Like sometimes you don't want to stand there and talk to your neighbor for 40 minutes. You got other things going on in your life. Things are expensive. But at the same time, it is a little bit sad when it's just head down, don't wave. They don't want to wave to you. You don't want to wave to them and go. Because it does feel like it's creeping that other way a little bit. Yeah. We should start a movement.
Start saying hi to people?
Just way too happy.
Yeah.
Just
the opposite of Germans.
Yeah, the opposite of Germans. Is your dad, is he pretty stern? Like coming from these different places? Yeah.
I think my dad is, I mean, if you know him, he's super nice. He's very blunt and he doesn't have time for any BS. And he says it like it is. So as long as you're on his good side, it's fine. And even if you're not on his good side, he doesn't ever show it. That's
probably just not his problem.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, whatever. So yeah, for somebody that doesn't know him, he can be a little bit intimidating, but.
Okay, so before they moved here, you said they were like 16 or so. They moved from Kazakhstan to Germany. And then what did they do for work there?
My dad, he worked at I believe it was a BMW dealership first.
Dang.
Yeah. And
is that a good job there?
I don't know what he did.
Oh.
I have no idea.
Could have just been like the window cleaner?
Maybe. I have no idea.
That's cool.
Yeah, he did something.
16 years old? That's not too bad of a job.
No, he probably wasn't 16. He would have been older. I think they had to do schooling to try to like learn German and things like that first. Okay. Yeah, so they did that, or he did that, and then eventually he worked. Then he went back to school actually after my parents got married and they had my sister and me. My dad went back to school, and then he became a carpenter. And then he worked in a factory there, and he actually did like really well in Germany, which was so interesting because here factory jobs don't really get paid all that much. They get trades in Germany, or I think probably most of Europe, are paid really, really well.
Oh,
Like,
so you could be going to like not that top school and still
oh yeah,
get a good paying
absolutely.
job. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's just you are not considered like a professional. You have your trade, right?
Okay. Yep.
Um, or like usually when you talk about professionals, it's like doctors or
Yes.
nurses or whatever else. So no, they do still make
Get paid
really good
good.
money. Yeah. So like my dad was making really good money. He was making more than somebody that was working in healthcare.
Okay.
So that was very interesting. Then when we moved here and he started working at Elias Woodwork and was not making nearly as much as he was.
Was
in
that
his-
tough for him? Like coming here
I'm
and
sure
then
it
doing
was
that? Yeah.
because he was getting paid probably close to minimum wage, and he had first it was just my sister and I and my mom, and then we had my mom was pregnant when we moved, so
Mhm.
then we had my little brother, and then he was working, making only a little bit more than minimum wage, supporting a family of 6 in total.
Good for him. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and then he started his own business
What did your mom do when she was there? Did you
in
say
Germany.
sorry? Yeah.
She was in school. She had goals, and then she was like, whatever. I'm not going to do these things. I'm just going to get married and have kids. So then she did
Hell
that.
yeah.
And she did work. She worked at a butcher shop. And then when we moved here, then she was just a stay-at-home mom.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So your dad, when after Elias Woodwork, you said he started his own business. What does he do now?
He's still a carpenter. He does finishing work.
Dang, that's the kind of person you want doing finishing work.
Yeah.
A Russian German.
It's funny.
It's probably the most precise
It is.
baseboards
He's a
you've ever seen.
perfectionist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like it's just like the like you can't even tell there's two baseboards.
Yeah, exactly. He's really good at what he does. So
That's like the complete
it makes sense.
There's gonna be nuance to this. I was gonna say that's the complete opposite to me. After you said he's really good at what he does, and I was like, shoot. But what I mean is like stuff like baseboards and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Could care less.
that's Charlie's the exact same way.
Like I'm just like this seems so tedious
Good enough.
and so like it's just made to clean things up, and
Yeah.
it does. When someone's good at it, it makes the space look really
Mhm.
nice. But when someone like me goes in there and they see it, I could care less. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah.
So do any of your other siblings do like work in the business or anything?
Nope. My brother he just is graduating this year. He is wanting to become an electrician, so does want to stay in the trades, but not in finishing work. He doesn't have the patience for it because you do have to be very patient and
Yes.
precise, and he is not like that. And then my sister is still in school, so I'm not sure. I think she wants to become a vet or biologist or something like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then my older sister, now she is just a stay-at-home mom because she has 3 little ones. But then my brother-in-law is a plumber, so we have
Yeah, I met
all
him.
the trades. Yeah,
He's a good guy.
yeah. So just
Fixed my sink.
yeah, no kidding.
That was good. I could get that dishwasher working.
Yeah.
And then when he told me, he's like, "Yeah, you just check to see if the water line's on." And I was looking in there. Did I tell you this already? That there's
That was like 5 or
yeah,
something,
there's
yeah.
like 3 different
Yeah.
valves to turn this one water line on. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a sink like this. And I
Yeah.
remember when he was looking at it too. He was like, "What's going on in here?"
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
The people who owned our house before us were actually from Germany as well.
So I have a sauna in the basement.
Yeah, that's probably why we have a sauna in the basement. But there is some weird things. Like it seems like it's hit and miss. It seems
Yeah.
like there's like, and I get it too. Like you're saying about your dad being here. Okay, you gotta kind of make things work a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I'm sure it can be frustrating. You move here, you're making minimum wage, you have a house, and you're used to living in a bit of a different lifestyle that
Mhm.
you feel like you've earned, and you want to do your best to get back to that spot. So I'm sure a lot of things you're kind of going out of your wheelhouse with and trying to make it work for your family and all that stuff. But there was like some wiring stuff just like weaved through different areas,
Yeah.
just these different things. But
Made it together.
yeah, but then you also get like our driveway is It's a beautiful, massive concrete driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a sauna in the basement.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. And so it's like you can get these two things.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Is it is your dad kind of would he try and do everything himself kind of guy? Or does
He knows his limits.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He did, when we built our house, he did do a lot of it himself. But everything that he did himself was checked by somebody that knows how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So he tried not to take shortcuts where he knew he couldn't.
He sounds organized.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you get your personality from? What'd you say? Like, what traits do you get from your mom, and what do you think you get from your dad?
I take after my dad the most.
I was gonna, as you're telling these different
Yeah.
things, I'm like, okay, Julie, because I know working out,
Yeah.
you're like you make compartments
Yeah.
of what's happening. You're like, okay, I'm gonna walk up to the bar, and
Yeah.
Julie verbalizes this as she
Yeah.
goes, and maybe not as much anymore though.
I still
But
think it.
Yeah, it used to be like, okay, I'm gonna walk up to the bar. Okay, now I'm reaching down to grab the bar, and I'm listening to all this. I'm like, it's kind of nice for me because I'm
Yeah.
like, I know exactly what she's thinking. Okay, now I'm gonna. Okay, what was it again, Pelle? What am I doing next?
Where am I supposed to feel it?
Yeah, and you're like, okay, great. Okay, my hands are gonna slip, Pelle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, just try, Julie. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, here we go. And then it's
Yeah.
like the whole process. So you'd say, yeah, that's
I always said that I kept the worst qualities from
jeez.
from not my parents' worst qualities. They all just ended up with me. Like, my dad is a perfectionist, which is it's not always a bad thing, but it's not always a good thing either,
Yeah.
right? So I have that. I'm stubborn, like my dad. I am too nice at the same time, like my mom.
Yeah.
And so, like, all these things that I'm like, they're really nice qualities. I really appreciate them for them. But
Yeah.
now I have them. I'm like, man, this sucks.
Yeah. So you can see it. Like, do you find you notice it about you because you notice it in them, or do you find you just notice it about you, like as you go
Both.
through the world?
Yeah. Like, sometimes I'm talking to my mom and I'm complaining about something.
Mhm.
And she's like, oh, well, like, everybody goes through stuff and whatever. I'm like, Mom, just let me complain.
That's funny.
Like, let me just be angry.
Do you ever because you and your dad have the similar like perfectionist personalities, do you find you two get along really good most of the time, or growing up you did, or do you find that you two would butt heads? Like, how did that work?
We got along pretty well for them. Like, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely probably tested his patience more than any of my siblings. Because he told me a story, as like one of his favorite stories is when we were younger, we were driving somewhere. And so on this drive home, we decided to go to McDonald's. So like I said, it's like a 45-minute drive. So it was very, very rarely that we would go.
Okay.
Like less than once a month. So it was a special occasion. So we went to McDonald's and I had just my older sister at the time. And so we go there, and you know how they used to ask you, like, oh, is it a Happy Meal for a boy or a girl? And then they'd give you a toy according to whatever you said. And so in Germany, they used to let you pick what toy you wanted. And so we went and we ordered the food, and you get to like ask for specific ones, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so
I remember those days.
yeah.
Like, that was here too.
yeah, it was the best. I
Yeah,
love that. It's
you
sad that they don't
kinda-
do that anymore.
Yeah, you kind of thought you were gonna get one, and
Mhm.
sometimes you did. So
Yeah, like you would show them on the, like they'd have that display and you'd show them which one you wanted.
I wonder if that was like an employee thing where you maybe would get one.
Got to get
you
the right
know?
person, and they were like,
Yeah.
oh, this kid's a brat.
Yeah,
Give him
and it's
something
like,
else.
just give him whatever.
Yeah. So we went to McDonald's, and my sister picked a toy and I picked a toy. And then for whatever reason, we were driving home, and I think in the end I wasn't happy with my toy and I wanted a different toy. And I was complaining about the entire drive home about how much I hated my toy. And I was like, I don't like this toy. I don't want this one. I wanted a different one. I hate this. This is the worst toy ever. And my dad was like, stop complaining. Like, you should have asked for the other one. You didn't want to ask. Now you got what you got. And he's like, stop complaining. And I would just keep going. And he's like, I'm going to pull the car over. And I was like, I'm not stopping. Like, I'm going to keep going. And eventually he did pull the car over, and he put me outside and drove away. And I stood there, and I was like, whatever. And I think I started walking. I don't know what I did.
Did you get to keep your toy while you stood outside, or they're like, no, you can stand?
I don't know, actually. But anyways.
Because that would have been funny if he forced you to like bring your toy
Yeah,
with.
yeah. It'd be miserable here.
Yeah.
So then, whatever, he realized, okay, she's like, I'll go pick her up now because you can't just leave the kid on the side of the road.
Yeah.
So he comes back and picks me up, and we start driving home, and I'm still upset, and I still keep complaining. And then we're like 2 minutes away from home, and I was like, oh shit, like when I get home, I'm gonna be in so much trouble, because all of a sudden he's quiet, and
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, okay. I love this toy. This is the best toy ever, Dad. Thank you so much for getting me this
Oh,
toy.
you flipped it?
Yeah, because I knew as soon as I got home, I would get in trouble. And my dad's like, what the heck do I do, right? Like,
Do you remember what he ended up doing?
I think he just laughed because he's like, I don't know what to do, right? Like, what do you
This
do?
kid is crazy.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's
So-
funny. Oh, that's too good. Like you're like navigating, you're figuring it, you're like, okay, oh shoot, there's a new wrinkle in this game. This is all coming to an end in a
Yeah, we're
hurry.
a little too close to home right now.
That's funny. I remember something like that. My grandma came and picked me up. I loved going to my grandma's house. But for some reason, I didn't want to eat a cookie that she had in the car. Like she had made like homemade cookies or bought cookies. I don't know what it was. So I told her I was allergic. Yeah. And it's like my grandma who I would see like every weekend.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, I'm allergic. I can't eat those. Like the most rude thing.
You've just learned what allergies are and you're like, I
Yeah.
can use this.
Like that, but that's like probably something like that's more disrespectful
Yeah,
or rude than
yeah.
just saying, no, I'm
I
not
don't want
hungry
it,
right
yeah.
now. It's like, no, this flipping kid is straight up lying to me now.
That's
that he
hilarious,
doesn't wanna
especially
eat
because
my
she
cookie.
knew you were lying.
Yeah. Wow. So
That's
then what do you get from your mom? You get your,
I let people walk all over me sometimes.
yeah.
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 I don't know when to say no.
I like when other people are like that.
Yeah. You just take advantage.
Yeah. I don't like when I'm like that, but I like that other people are like that.
Are you ever like that?
I would say so. In certain places, like my investment level or my like, I think I people manage a lot. Like I maybe not outright, but I manage people for my sake. Like I'm
Yeah,
like,
but that's good. That's how you should be. You know what
Yeah.
you like, how much you can handle.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say no, so I will sometimes agree to do more things than I would like to do.
oh yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm the opposite that way where I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't know if I can manage this, so I'm gonna just say no.
Oh,
to
see, and I just say
everything.
yes to everything all the time.
Like the complete opposite. Hey?
Yeah, it's awful.
You're like, I have to help because they're asking me to. And I'm thinking the other thing is I have to not help because I don't know if I can actually help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if I was to go out and sit down in like a room of people, my brain would be like, don't say anything until you understand everything that's happening in this room. Collect all the information you need to collect, and then you can manage all these people in this room. Where you're probably like, okay, who needs what? I'm
Yeah.
just stand in the
Mhm.
middle and turn in a circle for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially having like perfectionist tendencies too, like that would be very tough
Mhm.
because you're trying to provide everybody with exactly what they need.
Yeah, it can't be everything to everyone. So
Yeah, do you ever come into the gym and you're like, oh, what does this guy need today?
yeah, every time
He
I'm
needs
here.
me to lift this weight. I
Yeah.
should start playing into that. Well, I'm gonna be pretty upset if you don't lift that.
Yeah.
Pelle, I only lifted 200 pounds last week. This is 500. Well, you know,
Figure it out.
don't let me down. Dang. So what got you into working out?
I always wanted to. And I feel like when did I start? Was it in 2020?
Man, was it just before COVID?
Was it not during COVID in
Was
the
it
summer?
during COVID?
I think so. Or was it 2019? Summer 2019.
I don't even remember.
I think it was summer 2019. It was right before.
Okay.
Because I remember lockdowns. So it would have been summer 2019. I wanted to get Charlie a workout package. And so I don't know if you remember, I emailed you and I said I wanted to get him.
That's right.
Yeah.
I actually forgot
Yeah.
about this. And the only reason I like even knew that now that I'm thinking back to it is because I was like, I asked somebody, I'm like, is this the same? Because I didn't know very many Charlies.
Mhm.
And because Charlie had also messaged me later.
Yeah.
And then I connected the two because I don't know if you maybe had said his name once in the original email. And I was like, okay, are these two connected somehow?
Yeah.
Because they were separate messages. Okay.
Mhm. And so then I think at that time you were already offering a buddy thing, but for whatever, it didn't work for us. And so I always knew I wanted to work out, but I don't know how to do anything because they don't teach you that in school. They just teach you how to play like the rules of soccer or whatever.
I don't think the majority, from my experience, of this isn't an insult because you're more of a kid manager in gym class in school than an actual instructor. But
Form checking.
yeah, I don't think most of them actually know. Like
No.
I've seen a few gym teachers in the gym, and I'm like, what is
Yeah,
going
you
on
have a
over there?
kinesiology degree? Are you sure?
Yeah, don't get me started. Anyways,
Yeah.
keep going.
So so I knew I wanted to figure out how to work out, and then it was just wanting to make sure I did it the right way. And so then Charlie started coming here first, and then I think I came a few months later. Because I remember I think I started in September.
Didn't you come? You came in here one day, right?
Yeah,
To
we
talk to
had
me?
yeah.
Okay. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember being like a little bit, because Charlie's not a small person. Like
Mhm.
he's like, how tall is he? 6'2"?
6'3", yeah.
6'3", yeah. And he's a burly man.
Mhm.
And he came in here and it was like fall, I think. It was
Yeah.
somewhere around there because it was dark outside. And then you would come in, you were just quiet.
Yeah.
You just, hey. And then
Yeah.
Charlie's like, hey,
Yeah.
Julie wants to talk to you about training. And then he sat in the thing, and then you just talked to me about, or
Yeah.
let me talk about training, I'm sure. And I was like, does Charlie need anything? And he's just waiting. He's just sitting there
he
waiting.
was just there. Moral support.
Because he's such a kind of an intimidating figure, I was just like, does he need something that I'm
So it's
not
gonna
neglecting?
be every time
here?
we're gonna like do the workout and he's just gonna sit in the corner and watch.
Yeah, I'm like, which I would be fine just knowing him or whatever. But that day he was particularly, because I'm sure he was just like, well, this isn't my thing. I'm just here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay out of the way. But I was got in the back of my head, I was just like, does he have any questions that I can answer or anything? And
Yeah.
he's like, no, I'm here, man.
Yeah.
That's funny.
He's just there to support me.
Yeah, he's like, you're doing good. Was it like did you feel like you needed support when you first came in?
I am super awkward. So yes.
Do you feel super awkward like on the podcast? Like
Always.
doing this?
Yeah. Not like it's not that bad. It's definitely the most professional conversation we've ever had.
Yeah, it is. I would agree.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
So you're super awkward. I don't remember you being. I remember you being very
That's
quiet.
good. I think I'm really good at faking it.
Yeah, met people like
Yeah.
making sure everyone's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember you being very quiet and kind of just listening. And I was like, I don't know if she's gonna work that train. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And you guys left and whatever. Where Charlie's actually quite the opposite when
Yeah.
you get to know him. He's pretty chatty and pretty easy to go through training with. Guys are always hit and miss that way.
Mhm.
Like girls are always they're a little more open. They'll talk about different things or give their thoughts on different things to different degrees. But you can get some guys to an extreme degree where it's no conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, how's your day? Good.
Or the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Oversharing.
Oversharing, which is, I'm always fine with that too, especially in the setting we're in, like to a certain extent, as long as it's not something like incriminating
Mhm.
or something that's like, especially during that like COVID time or the political time, then you get people who are like saying some pretty outlandish stuff,
Mhm.
like just being like not nice to other people. Then for me, it gets a little bit much. But other than that, like everybody goes through their day, and sometimes when you're working out, you're tired. So
Yeah.
you're just saying stuff. So it's almost, I don't know. I almost think of it in the way of like when you go to with your friends, like, and you go party or whatever. It's kind of a dick move for one of your friends if, one person goes a little bit too far one
Mhm.
night or something like that. And it's kind of a one-off thing. If someone makes them feel bad for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's the same. Sometimes I feel that like that in here. If someone shares something, it's like, okay, that was.
But if it's a repeat offense, then you're kind of like, okay. Like,
Yeah, like maybe,
stop.
yeah, maybe chill out. But
Yeah.
I really haven't had that
That's
happen
good.
too often.
That's good.
But that brings me to my next point, Julie. You're gonna have to stop sharing.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll stop talking.
Yeah, it's mostly just like bowel movements. No, I'm kidding. No, you're always really good in here.
That's good.
Do you enjoy working out now that you kind of
I
got
do.
into it? What do you
I
enjoy
do.
about it?
Like here specifically or just in general?
In general.
What I like about coming here is that I don't have to think about anything.
Yeah.
Because I feel like planning a workout for me would be a nightmare because I wouldn't know what to do. And I that's probably because I don't think when I'm here, because you just tell me what to do and I just do it.
Mm-hmm.
If I paid more attention and was like taking notes mentally, then I probably could be doing this stuff on my own. But I like the part where I don't have to worry about it, where I just come in here, you tell me what to do, and I know I'm making progress.
Do you find that, and I'm asking you this for my own curiosity, like for myself, do you find that you like structure in terms, like, I mean, I think everybody kind of likes structure, but you like a plan.
Yeah.
You like to have it like, hey, this. I haven't met people with working out, which is crazy to me because I'm that way too. Like all my workouts are made by somebody else. If I did have somebody to come in here and train me all the time, I probably would do that too to a certain
Mhm.
extent. But I've met some people who they won't work out if that's the case.
Oh,
They're
if it's structured.
Yeah, they're like, I want to go in there and I want to kind of pick the things that I'm going to do that day. For
Yeah.
me, that gives me like anxiety because I'm like, okay, what's the purpose then? Like,
Yeah.
how do you know what your purpose of your workout is that day? But for them, it's just to enjoy a workout.
Yeah.
And
No, I like the structure too. Like I do sometimes have days where we do something and I'm like, oh, it would be better. Like I would prefer to do this thing.
yeah,
Yeah. I've never mentioned that ever here.
no, you
Hey?
have. I was just gonna say, I'm like, that's
No.
actually surprising to me.
No,
Like,
I mean, I ask for stuff sometimes. I'm like, oh, can we do this instead of doing
do
that?
you? I don't know if you don't do it that often. If
No,
you
I
do
don't.
it,
No.
you're lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I enjoy that structure
Yeah.
with things. What don't you enjoy?
About working out?
Yeah.
While I don't love the working out while I'm doing it.
Oh, all right.
Like I don't like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Is there something in particular you can give me an example of?
Oh, I'm sure you know I hate squats.
I was gonna say,
lunges,
Squats and
anything
lunges, yeah.
involving legs, which is hilarious because legs are my favorite thing to work out.
Are they actually? Yeah.
Mhm.
Like so is it more the after feeling or is it
During.
during? Yeah.
Yeah.
It does feel, maybe I'm speaking for you, but does it feel like it's like you're accomplishing something a little bit more significant?
Afterwards, yes. While I'm doing it, no. While I'm doing it, all I can think of is, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then I do it. And then afterwards, when like the next day when I'm sore, I'm like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
But while I'm doing it, I'm like, I'm miserable.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so taxing.
Yeah.
People always wonder, common question I get is like, why am I yawning? And it's people are notorious for yawning during like leg days.
Oh, really?
Because their body's just like asking for more oxygen. Their brain
Hmm.
is asking for more oxygen. Their body wants more oxygen. It's not just because you're like, maybe you didn't get a great sleep. Maybe you
Yeah.
are yawning for that reason. But your body also is looking for oxygen because it is such a taxing muscle group.
Hmm.
And
Now I'm going to have to pay attention to that.
yeah. And there is nuance between guys training legs and girls training legs,
Mm-hmm.
which maybe some people don't really like that too much. But there is like girls tend to be able to train legs or lower body more frequently than guys
Mm-hmm.
because their lower bodies, one, are a little bit more similar to guys where they do hold a decent amount of muscle mass typically. But they also can't always lift quite as much weight where it's a sweet spot of they can recover from that weight,
Mhm.
that much weight a little bit quicker than a guy who maybe is lifting a little bit more with a similar build, which is interesting. I always find that fascinating, which works for girls really well because I think right now in the fitness market, lower body is a very significant thing.
Well, and like the reason I like working out legs is because I feel like the stuff that I can do, and not that whatever I can do at the gym is impressive at all, but I feel like it's more impressive what I like my PRs with whatever,
Yeah.
like deadlifts or whatever, is more impressive than what I can do with like shoulder presses or whatever, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, that I find that especially for girls, like something like a deadlift or a squat, or even I've had more and more girls who have asked to do more bench pressing.
Mhm.
Which even for some guys, I don't get them to bench press either because they just for their goals, they don't find it helps them that much. But it feels good, and you're moving decent weight, which feels
It's
good.
confidence boost.
Yeah, you look at the bar after you're done, you're like, holy smokes, like
Yeah.
I can move that. Or you go into your day-to-day life and you're like, you're way more likely to pick something up off the ground that's
Mhm.
heavy than you are to be shoulder pressing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I think any guy who can shoulder press a lot of weight is really cool. But if you paint above your head for like 30 seconds, even if you have the strongest shoulders, it still feels like you're weak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you go pick something up heavy off the ground. Do you like as a girl? Do you feel like it's especially impressive because, I think the perspective would be, oh, she probably can't lift that.
Maybe. And like again, that's where I say not that I'm doing anything crazy impressive, but I'm like sometimes if my like I have friends are talking about how much they weigh, I'm like, man, I could almost deadlift you.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like
cool.
I could pick you up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And do you feel like that is do you feel like you ever shy away from saying things like that as a girl?
I don't know. Maybe. Like depends because I feel like the thing is usually if I can do that, my guy friends can do that, but then even more. Right? So it's like, okay, like I should be happy with what I can lift.
Yeah, but what kind of dude is doing that? Like, if you were to tell me, I know how much you deadlift, and I was to respond, and you're like, oh, I can deadlift. You're like, I said that that's gonna be heavy to pick up. That weighs this much. You're like, oh, I can deadlift that weight or whatever. And I was to come back and just say, well, yeah, well, I can deadlift 4 times that weight.
Yeah, I
Like that's
guess.
such a dick thing to do as a dude.
Yeah.
Like that would be, it'd be like, no, that's holy
Other,
smokes.
yeah. No.
But dude, guys in particular do love doing.
Oh
that.
yeah. No, I don't though.
Or they love saying how much they used to deadlift. You don't
Yeah.
hear that a whole lot from girls, but
Oh, Charlie loves talking about what he used to be able to do at the gym. I'm like, yeah, but what can you do now?
You're just calling him out, eh? He's
Oh,
like-
yeah.
That's funny. That's yeah, he could probably deadlift a decent amount of weight, especially because his job is that
Yeah.
kind of thing,
He
lifting
can move
things up.
some weight.
Does he stay in I mean, maybe he's the person to ask, but does he stay in pretty good shape in terms of like body aches and pains from his job, or does it take a toll?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think there is improvements he could make that would make him feel better.
Okay.
And that he probably should take, like make changes that he should make, but he definitely feels it.
Yeah.
Anyways, talks about it. He's getting older, whatever.
Well, working out is one thing. It's 3 days a week, 4 days
Yeah.
a week, whatever however often you train. When it's your job, lifting things quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's
All
every day.
for 8 hours a day.
Yeah,
9
you
hours
may
a
have
day.
a week where it's heavy things
Yeah.
all week. Where a different week it's a couple days of the week.
And the thing with the type of work that they're doing, the way that they're lifting the weight, it's really inconvenient as well, right? Like you're carrying sheets of drywall. It's not really comfortable. It's not like it's, like
It's not built to
spread out
lift.
so weird. And yeah,
It's not a dumbbell.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
It's made to be
exactly.
lifted, yeah.
Yeah. So
Do you find from working out? I know this sounds like an advertisement, but it is kind of our reference of each other. Do you find working out benefits you? Like you were saying, like in a conversation like that, you're like, oh, I can deadlift that and that feels good. Do you find that carries over like mentally for you? Like some people I find, and I'm not trying to get a certain answer from you. Some people I've heard mentally, oh yeah, it's pretty substantial. And then the next person I've heard, they're like, no, it's just I enjoy it physically. Like I enjoy maybe the physical results or the physical challenge of it. But
I think part of the reason why I enjoy it is probably because I come here. I have said this
this
to
is
my
just
friends
an
before.
advertisement.
Yeah.
Eh?
It's a therapy session, but not, right? Like
Yeah.
we're working out, but we're also talking at the same time. I did try working out on my own for whatever it was, like 2 months, and it didn't work out great for me, but that's okay. I tried it. The being active part of it is nice, but it's a lot harder when you're not doing it with someone or talking, right? So I find most of the most beneficial part for me is doing the exercise, but then also conversation at the same time.
Yeah, kind of. I could get that. Like
Yeah.
it's,
It's an outlet
yeah,
in
it's just,
multiple ways, right? Like if
Yeah.
I want to complain about my day, you're going to listen to me complain about my day because I'm paying you to listen to me
Yes.
complain about my day.
Just imagine me going home at the end of the day. My shirt's torn from the emotional damage.
You come up here, you complain to Zach. I
Yeah.
can't believe what she said.
The shoes of my soles
So
are
negative all the
falling
time.
off. No, I actually don't have much of that. There's
Yeah.
the odd little stuff, but for the most part, people are pretty dang good.
And
people-
it's not like all I do ever is complain, right? Like we talk about all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and I think too, like I've had a couple people who have trained here who have also been on the podcast, and the common thing is that kind of therapy thing. And as I think about it, I've oftentimes thought in my head, because that's one thing as a gym owner that you always have to be careful of, is like, okay, how much therapy are you providing, kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I think like a lot of times, it's in a way for me too. It's enjoyable because people are into different things. So it's a lot of our conversations about music. Like that's a conversation where it's just an escape with a conversation. Oh, you like this music. I like this music. Let's listen to this. What do you think of that? What do you think of this? It's like bouncing off these ideas, which ends up, I mean, sometimes for me being therapeutic because it takes you out of that zone where it's not so much, where you say therapy. I think some people apply a lot to it.
Yeah.
Where it's actually a little bit more of like, okay, it's simple.
Yep, exactly.
It's simple. All we're conversing is this. Okay, now get this set.
Yeah.
And then jumping into the next thing. Well, I was actually thinking about that the other day. I'm like, what is it exactly that? Because a lot of times, especially clients who kind of have been here for a while, you have their perspectives and the things they're into. And then you enjoy talking about that with them. And, you know, you discover different things, or they bring up a different topic, and then you get to kind of bounce it back and forth in between sets. And I think that I'm speaking for me is kind of the nice part of it all.
Well, I just think about how in my job I have, or not even just in my job, just in life, in my day to day, I have to think so much and focus on so many things, and it all takes a toll. When I come in here, I don't have to think, right? Like, cause and that's probably this is your job. So here you have to think a little bit more. You do the thinking for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just tell me this is what you're doing now. And so for me, that's really nice, because I'm like, okay, now I'm done. I can shut off my brain. We can talk about whatever we want to talk about. It's not ever anything that's like life-changing. We don't have to like make super important decisions while we're here. It's just, talking about music that I like or whatever else. I can just say whatever I want to say and not have to worry about, okay, how are you going to understand what I'm saying to you, right?
Yeah,
like,
and it seems like people definitely, especially when they kind of come in a few, like for a while, it's not necessarily, hey, I like this music, and the typical, oh yeah, it sounds pretty good. It's, oh, this sounds like trash.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
heard this? It sounds like that, but a little bit different
Better.
and better. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
you go back and forth, and you get to the end thing, and by the end of the session, you're like, oh, there was 10 bands that I hate now. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that's super fun. It's just like that, which I think I'm lucky for that, having a job like that, where you get it's almost like this a little bit, where you just get to talk to somebody undistracted. I have had, when I first started, a couple clients who sat on their phone the entire workout.
Yeah.
Which, whatever, checking your phone or whatever, I don't really care, but the whole workout. But I'm actually just realizing that right now, that is one of the huge things that I enjoy about this, is that you have that conversation and this experience and this training and this workout and these difficult things happening, and just like not really a distraction besides the workout.
Yeah.
I actually just realized that now. That's nice.
Well, I'm just thinking, if I was on my phone the entire time, that would be probably pretty awkward for you.
Yeah.
And boring.
Yeah, I know I've had a couple sessions, and I'm sure you've experienced it a couple times, where all of a sudden a lot is going on, like with online training or whatever, and then I'm going back and forth. That's the worst. Those are the worst sessions for me, because I'm like, oh, I didn't get to really connect with this person, which, when you really connect with a person too, like from the working out aspect, is you get to see like the little tendencies they have in their lifts as well. And some days when it's busy like that, you leave and you're like, oh, I didn't catch that. I think I could have caught that, or I think we could have done this, or could have, you know what I mean?
And I mean, I would hope, give you some credit here. If I was trying a new exercise, you would focus. You wouldn't be on your phone, right? If it's like if I know how to do, just figure it out. Like when I did the first time I did deadlifts, you were, it was also when you were doing your, the photo shoot. Do you remember that?
Was that the first time you did deadlifts? That was the first time I did
deadlifts.
We just we're like, we're going to take, actually that worked out really well. I was actually looking at those photos the other day. That worked out really well, because it's photos of exactly what I do.
Yeah. But you were focused on what I was doing. Whereas now, if you tell me, okay, do 8 reps, you can leave to go check on something if you have to, because I know how to do them, right? If you have me trying a brand new exercise, you wouldn't be like, okay, just go do this. I'm going to quickly go check on something. You wouldn't do that, because.
Yeah. And I have realized, like, I used to, like, even during warm-ups and stuff, be really attentive, like be like, okay, is this? And then I realized, like, sometimes for people too, it's like, hey, just let me figure out a couple of these things as we get going. Like, just get away from me for a second. We've done this a few times. I'm going to pick up things as we go. And maybe as we get closer to the actual weight, then give me some pointers or something like that. I've noticed that too with certain people, where I'm like, even when they're warming up, like I have certain clients where I'll walk away and I'll go.
I need you to stop talking.
Yeah.
Just let me do this.
Yeah. Which is funny. There's some clients. I mean, if you were to, I think you've said that to me before. Say that. And I think I've had a couple of clients who are definitely foreigners.
Germans.
Yeah. No, I didn't say that. But who said, can you just go away for a little bit?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, fair
Did
enough.
they say it with an accent?
Yeah. Say it in German and mean. And my brain's almost like, yeah, you know what? That's probably a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
You don't need me to watch you pedal for
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes. And then the next person's like, just distract me for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure I'm going the right pace, and just, I don't want to think about this.
Yeah.
That's cool. With working out and stuff like that, can you see yourself doing it for kind of ever? Like, that's
I
always
want
my
to.
goal for people, is that
Yeah.
they do it forever.
I'd like to. I don't know to what extent or how I would be doing it.
This is me tricking you into a
Yeah.
lifetime contract.
Sign right here.
This is like Scientology. Like,
Yeah.
do you think you could do this for another 100 million years?
Yeah. No, I want to, for sure, because I can see the benefits that it has, right? Not just physically, but also mentally.
Yeah.
So that's why I would want to, but making sure I think I shouldn't always come here.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
I think I should hopefully one day be able to do this on my own.
Yeah.
I will come here for as long as I feel that I need to.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually at one point I should, and that's your goal for me too, is to be,
Of course, yeah.
have me be comfortable doing these things on my own.
Yeah, I always
Right?
want to my goal with people is always to get them to a place they feel comfortable to do it on their own,
Mm-hmm.
and they get to make the choice of
Yeah.
if they do. If they choose they don't want to, perfect. I mean, I'm right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. I like to train people. And if they
Yeah.
all of a sudden do choose to, then also awesome. I've done my job. They can
Yeah.
go out on their own, and hopefully I can feel comfortable with knowing that they have good tools. That's something I
Mhm.
like take a lot of pride in, is when people go to like public gyms coming from here.
Mhm.
I always want them to be have the best form or the best technique, or, you know, look like they know what they're doing when they go to different gyms. So people will ask them, hey, how do you know so much about
Yeah.
this? You know, and I don't think it's always like necessarily the greatest physiques.
Mhm.
Like, there's great physiques and people look really good, and that's awesome and everything, but it's also like that confidence and that knowing and that understanding of like, oh, this person knows what they're doing. Like,
I'm doing
where did
this
they
the
come
right
from?
way.
This is
Yeah.
the first day I've seen them in here. How
Yeah.
do they already know?
Yeah.
That I take pride in that. And also the thing like deadlifting with no shoes on or with flat shoes on. You do it with flat, like with Vans, but some clients will have like runners on, and I'll be like, hey, we can't deadlift or squat in those. And then there's a bit of a reputation for everybody who came here would take their shoes off at other gyms.
Oh, really?
And I was like, hey, we got to watch this, because people are going to think I'm like into
Yeah.
feet in the gym here. I'm making everybody, ooh,
Yeah.
take your shoes off.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
No, that's the only thing. I've only ever trained with Vans, so but you did mention that. That was actually one of the first conversations that we had was when we were talking about footwear. And you mentioned like, yeah, if you forget your shoes, we'll just do the workout barefoot and that'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because in the end, that's better than wearing not the right shoes.
Yes, there's nothing. We should make you train and do a leg day in like runners, like some
Yeah,
big old
just to
cushiony
see.
Nikes. That's brutal. Like,
Yeah.
I've done it like, I was gonna say a couple times, but like once or twice, and I hate it. I'd rather just be in sock feet.
I should try once. I'll bring some. I
Yeah.
have some, but I because I wear Vans, just that's my daily shoe anyways. I like the only time that I'll wear proper runners is if I'm going for like a walk.
Yeah,
And even then, usually I like to wear other shoes.
it'd be like, I would compare it to running 5 miles in Vans. Would be like doing
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, it would be like doing a whole lower body workout in like really cushiony
I just
running
feel like
shoes.
your balance would be not great.
Yeah, it just feels weird. Your feet can't really spread out. You don't have that
Yeah.
like contact with the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking like even when we do squats, like putting the weight on the outside of your feet, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're wearing shoes with a big sole on them, how
Yeah.
would you know where you're putting the weight?
Yeah, and then the toes are always really pointy on those
Yeah.
shoes. And so I'm always like, this must feel like crap.
Yeah.
Like, you should just take those
That's
things off.
hilarious. I've never thought about that.
And it's crazy too, like, to see people's form change. That's one thing like I've learned as well. If I can catch it, if I can be like, hey, just pop those runners off. Like, if I can catch it right away. Because sometimes I don't always, like, they'll be walking on the treadmill or something like that, and then I won't see that they're wearing those, and then they'll be deadlifting. I'm like, I'm changing a bunch of things in their form. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh crap, what am I doing? Like, take those off, and then a bunch of things will be way better.
Is it because they're compensating or trying to compensate?
Yeah, like a lot
Yeah.
of those bigger like running shoes, the heels are really high up on them.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's automatically tipping you forward
Mm-hmm.
with a weight that's already out in front of you. So now you're trying to compensate for that not tip forward.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you get them to pop their shoes off, they can, and you're like, just press through the ground.
Yeah.
It looks way better. And then
Yeah.
there's things to change, but it's less things to
That's
change. or
hilarious. I
different
feel like
things.
if I did that and I wore proper runners, I would probably faceplant.
Yeah, which would be funny. We should do that.
Yeah. Let's try it next time.
We're willing to risk it on Julie.
Yeah, it's okay. I signed a waiver.
NDA, a
Yeah.
non-disclosure.
Oh, I meant the liability
No,
thing.
you also
An NDA
signed
as well.
yeah, you also signed the NDA, which is I also I have more of those hot chip challenge chips. So you should do that all in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
you should
sounds awesome. Eat the chip, then do the
deadlift. I should actually maybe there's somebody out there who wants to do that. Maybe I should do that as a YouTube thing.
That sounds awful. I feel like whoever did that, they probably would just shit their pants.
Yeah. Is your stomach rumbling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear that? It's ASMR.
Let's
Stomach noises.
let's shut this podcast down. I'm not going to close this podcast out anymore. I'm not. I was
No?
doing that before. Now I think I'm just going to end it.
Just
The only thing I do, like I'm still going to do, is if you want me to tag you in anything, like
I
social media
have
or anything.
nothing.
Yeah, you don't have Instagram or anything
sorry.
anymore. So you guys can't find Julie anywhere other than this podcast. This is a Julie Polle exclusive.
Exclusive.
So if you see her here, the only other place you'll see her is in public. And
Yeah,
even then,
and no, I'm hiding.
she's hiding in back
Yeah.
alleys.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here, Julie.
Anytime.
Is there any final words you want to say?
No.
Sweet. Awesome. Then we'll shut down there.